Howdy folks, and welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Friday, March the 11th, 2016, and I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming back to the show Mr. Will Lehr from Perpetual Assets. Will, how you doing today?
I'm great, Rory. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I am so excited and so stoked to have you back on. It's been far too long since we've talked, and with everything that's going on in our world, it is a crucial time for people to hear what you guys are doing at Perpetual Assets, how you're doing it, how we can help people to protect themselves. And I wanted to start with what's going on with the markets. It's gold is having a red day, and silver's kind of just hanging out. What are you guys seeing as far as movement? Are you seeing a lot of new customers coming to you guys for precious metals, or how does that aspect of what you guys do, how does that work?
Yeah, we certainly are. I mean, the recent uptick in the metals, gold and silver specifically, here in the last couple of weeks, has showing signs of life again in the market a little bit. Gets people moving, whether they're existing clients with existing holdings or new clients. Anytime we have volatility over across the board, I mean, I'm just looking. The Dow's up 214 today. It'll probably be Monday down another 200-300 again. There's so much movement going on that it's volatility, it's uncertainty, and people flock to the metals in times like these. I mean, we're in the midst of a massive monetary crisis. It is monetary in nature, in its root, right? It is a problem of money. It is a problem with money. And gold and silver have been money, and they're sound money, and they've been money for thousands of years for a reason. And they are still money, and they have been a part of our monetary system the whole time. They've just had a different role than they are going to have in the very near future, as we see the remonetization of metals and perhaps other commodities. It's a very interesting time to be in this industry. It's an interesting time to be alive. It's a pinch me moment almost daily at this point.
Almost daily.
Right?
I would agree with that. I mean, it is every day when I wake up, it's like, okay, what's on fire, here at 4 a.m. or, what's going to catch fire, by 9 a.m. today. I mean, it's amazing. And these guys, with Draghi yesterday doing his his latest act of criminality that backfired on him completely. And there's been a lot of talk recently, as you are well aware, of moving to a cashless society. And this is a question that I've been asking several people, and just to get their different take on it. And how do you see, Will, what role would you see gold and silver playing, if any, in a cashless society?
That's a good question. Push for a cashless society by the powers that be, by the monetary elite, is obvious. It's in place. Let's look at banking laws. Things are being done to move away from cash. They, being the money controllers, and those lines of people go back thousands of years, and Rothschilds and these bloodlines that have controlled banking and have controlled money, and have therefore controlled men and continents and countries and nations historically because of it. They want to control money, right? Well, cash is very difficult often to control. So now when it's all digital, when we're all using credit cards and, when everything's transacting online and digital, that's great. They can track that, but that's not cash. Cash in paper form, when you and I, it trades very easily and under the radar.
Exactly.
So they don't like that. They want to get rid of that. And going cashless makes it very, very easy to track everyone's everything. But it comes down to markets whereby people come together and buy and sell and trade things. And it comes down to what those markets utilize and what they're going to utilize. Right now we have mini markets going on, monetary markets. We have Bitcoin. We have tons of other cryptocurrencies, digital currencies that people are using to transact business and trade goods and services with. We probably have little micro cultures, island cultures still today in 2016 that are trading, raw commodity for commodity. I mean, you probably have a little village somewhere in the islands that's trading seashells for something else. But on a global scale, today's financial world, mostly people are trading cash. They're trading digital currencies. Digital forms of cash and euros and yen and whatever else. So the push cashless, to answer your question, what role will gold and silver play? I think they'll play a huge role because the market is already pulling away from control. People are waking up. People want freedom. People want to be left alone. Most people will tolerate a little bit of taxation or a little bit of relative torture, so to speak. But when push comes to shove, it just gets too much. And I think when the elite try to move to a cashless society, you're going to have markets that still want to operate off grid, and the metals, until they can figure out how to seize every ounce of metal in the world. I mean, which is just not feasible. That market will always exist as money.
See, when I first spoke of this, it was with David Haggith about probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I said, and I stand by this, and I will till the day I die, that once they do implement a cashless society, which in my estimation that it's going to happen. I don't think there's any question about it. I think that what will happen is that you will have instantly 30% or more of the total market will retaliate, and it will move to either flat out barter or some form of gold and silver. And and my belief is that these guys are calculating that into their equation, and how they're going to deal with it. I don't know whether gold and silver will be outlawed as it was before here in the United States, or how it will be dealt with, but I don't know that. But I do feel very strongly that a black market will develop. A black market, a gray market, and a barter market will all encompass entire communities before the sun sets.
Yep.
And that's just what I believe will happen, and not just like you were describing, isolated pockets here and there. I think that they will be fairly massive. I mean, if we look at Texas and Utah in particular, gold and silver are already legal tender, and Texas is moving in that direction. And I think Arizona or New Mexico, one of those two states, has made gold and silver legal tender again as well. And
yeah, this has been an interesting subject to me. And the folks over at the 10th Amendment Center, I love their work, and they've covered it. They cover pretty much anything related to the 10th Amendment very extensively. And this monetary revolution, if you will, whereby, and let's not forget, gold and silver are in our Constitution. They are the only legal tender.
Correct.
So it's easy for states. I say there are these different areas where they've shown legislatively it's easy for these states to pick up these laws and adapt these laws, and that's what's going to happen. We've got all these different states that have rights. It's another layer of sovereignty within our country. So if the federal government goes crazy, Hillary's in charge, and it goes crazy tyrannical, and they're seizing everything, precious metals, guns, they're putting patriots in cages. States are going to reject. States are already rejecting. They're already rejecting. They're shutting off water to NSA facilities, for God's sakes. So that's going to happen. You've already, like you said, you got Texas, you got Utah with large operational gold and silver transactional capabilities taking place. You can pay your taxes there in gold, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's coming. It's already really here, and it's only going to get bigger. Yep.
That's a good thing. I really want to get into what you guys are doing and how we can educate people to better protect themselves, because what you guys do at Perpetual Assets, like I said at the very beginning, is crucial for the individuals to be able to protect themselves. And just give the elevator description, if you would, Will, of what you guys do, and then we'll get into some of the details.
Yeah, absolutely. The main focus of our company at the moment is the limited liability company IRA LLC IRA. It's a type of self-directed IRA. Basically, it allows the individual to take their money out of the system and take complete control of it. It also allows the individual to take possession of gold or silver eagles, U.S. minted eagle coins, and store them personally on behalf of the IRA LLC. So
I can have them at home, but they're protected under this umbrella of the IRA LLC. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the scenario. 5 years ago, we had clients coming to us with IRAs, with 401ks, with money locked up in these plans. Hey, I've got $100,000 at Merrill Lynch, and I think it's going to go poof. I'm going to take it all out and get metals. So they would cash it out. They would take the tax hit and the penalty if they're under 59.5, the 10% penalty, adding up to about 50%. All that goes as regular income. So if you take $100,000 out of an IRA, guess what? You just had $100,000 added to your income that year. So it eats about half of the account. So people were cashing in their accounts, taking half of it to buy metals with. We discovered this solution about that time frame, whereby you don't have to cash the account out. You can keep it in the IRA. It's a type of self-directed IRA that buys an LLC that functions as an investment company that allows the individual to manage the company and manage their retirement account, including take delivery of gold or silver eagles and put them in a hole in your backyard or wherever you see fit. Again, they're still, the individual doesn't want to use or spend those coins. They're owned by the IRA. That's a very important thing to understand. There are prohibited transactions, but this platform, this structure can be used for almost anything. Issuing loans, investing in private equity. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But in our community, it's a huge piece for people who want to get their money out of the system, who are concerned about bail-ins, who are concerned about derivatives collapses and banking collapses, and all these mutual funds and 401ks totaling 15 trillion. I don't know what the recent estimate is.
Negative interest rate policy.
There you go. Negative interest rate policy eating into your savings. For people that want to get the money out of the system without paying the taxes and penalties, and take it a step further, put it into metals and put it in your backyard. It's a great way to do that without all the fees and penalties and taxes.
Now, can I roll over my 401k or my company sponsored retirement program? Can I roll that over if I'm still with the company or if I'm no longer at the company? And is there a difference?
Good question. Yes. So the rollover of old funds is predominantly what we work with. We have some clients that start these up from scratch and say, I need to put money in an IRA each year to write off, for my taxes or whatever. But I don't want to just stick it in a mutual fund. I'd like to put gold or silver eagles under my mattress. But most people are working with old funds. Yeah, they've got money in an IRA. Now, your question regarding 401k and employment, or a similar plan, maybe it's a state plan or one of these pension plans. If you're employed with the company with that plan, typically you cannot. There are, you want to ask the plan administrator if
So
they
that's going to
allow.
be on a case by case.
Case by case, yeah,
Okay.
case by case. And there are, if you hit 59 and a half, you should be fine. They should not be able to hold your capital hostage if you're of retirement age. Even if you're still employed, you should be able to roll out the balance. There are we've had clients do some pretty interesting things. I mean, think about it, Rory. If you've got a life-saving amount, a huge amount of money locked up in one of these things, and you're employed, and you see the chunk of money as more valuable than your job. We've had clients negotiate rehires with the company. Like this guy had a good enough relationship with the company, family business, whatever. He just said, "Hey, fire me, or I'm going to quit, and I want to rehire me within a week or whatever the time frame was," and that triggered his rollover from the plans. He was able to do it. Had one lady switch to part time for 30 days or something, which triggered an employment change, which triggered her rollover, allowed her to access the money. So if there are ways. But if the money's locked up and you're under 59 and a half, you've either got to get creative or, it might be stuck.
I really like that. That's truly thinking outside the box there. Fire me so I can get my money and then rehire me. I love it.
Yes, sir. It worked.
Oh, you have to have a pretty solid relationship, I would imagine, with the people that you work for.
Yep. Yeah, I would, again, case by case, right?
Yeah,
but
that would be dangerous ground. I am not a financial advisor, and I'm not advising anybody to do this, to do any of this. I'm just here to provide information. And how would what you guys do, how would that be able to protect someone in a negative interest rate policy, which I believe, once again, is coming, the same as the cashless society? The two go hand in hand. They are tied at the hip, and that's the reason that we're going to have a cashless society, because they need to get to your money.
Yep.
And they need to be able to steal as much of it as they possibly can. And the only way that they can be 100% assured of doing that is to force you to leave it in a bank in a digital system.
Yep.
And therefore they can do their negative interest rate. So how would this protect someone, or will it protect someone under that scenario?
Yes, great question. And it does. And it protects from a whole host of scenarios. If we look at history, if we look at large scale theft, which has occurred by governments over periods of time in history, they always go for the lowest hanging fruit. It's
no one actually work.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense. Let's think about it. We've got, I said 15 trillion. I don't know the exact number, but it's something like that. That's in IRAs and 401ks and all these plans. That is money that could be seized with the push of a button. Now, when I say seized, I'm not talking about some crazy draconian just theft of your money, people. I'm talking about some creative new Save America bond that's going to pay you, a nice 5 or 10% yield. And it'll be like a 50-year bond or something, and it'll be mandatory for half of all IRA and 401k accounts to make this investment in order to save our country from this derivatives collapse. When we take our assets and we wrap them, in this case, your IRA is purchasing a limited liability company. It's investing into a private company. That's all that is knowledge to the IRA administrator or the IRS, for that matter. So there are a small, tiny sliver percentage of accounts in the country of this $15 trillion that has gone into private equity and private investments. Those are very difficult to seize. A lot of those assets are off grid. It's a piece of land. It's a piece of real estate. It's gold somewhere, or God knows where. So that's really hard to take. It's really hard to take. Even if let's use gold as an example. For clients that are using this to put gold and silver and bury it in a hole in their ground, how in the heck are the barriers to entry to steal and or seize that are very, very, very high. It's just difficult to get to. Same thing with the negative interest rate policy. The only assets that are subject, at risk to that is cash in the bank. and maybe some other short-term cash instruments or products that they would use that would be in a brokerage account or whatever. Well, our clients aren't holding cash in the bank. Maybe $100 in their checking account to satisfy a minimum balance or something. This is about getting your assets off grid. To where you're protected, to where you have options.
I hate to interrupt you, but you mentioned land and real estate. Can I put my personal home into this?
No, because you've got to keep your personal. This company, right? This limited liability company. One of the last steps is we're going to help you open. Let me walk you through the process. So let's say you've got an IRA at Merrill Lynch. We're going to open an account for you at a self-directed custodian or trustee, IRA custodian. We're going to get that money rolled over to your IRA account there. We're going to form a limited liability company, usually in your state of residence, wherever you live, Mr. Client. And that company is a real simple entity, the way it's set up. It is an investment holding company. And it is going to be basically your IRA account is going to purchase that company. It's investing just like it's buying IBM stock,
Gotcha.
But it's buying Rory's Investments LLC, and it's buying 100% of the shares. Now, one of the last steps is we help Rory or Mr. Client open a bank account at their local bank. Could be a credit union, it could be a big money laundering bank, whatever you prefer. We help you open an account there for this LLC, a business checking account. That's where your retirement dollars go. That's where your Merrill Lynch money ends up, in your local checking account bank. And you have control of it. You're now managing that checking account. You're managing those investments. Right now, it's just cash sitting in the bank, but you're the manager of it. You can't use it personally because it's owned by your IRA. That's a prohibited transaction. So you and spouses and children and parents need to steer clear of that money. What does that mean? You can't use it personally. You can't take your wife out to dinner or go on vacation or spruce up your personal home, or in your example, put the personal home into it. If the LLC, if you're going to use it to buy real estate, that's fine. It's got to be investment real estate. It could be a piece of land. It could be an apartment building with tenants that are paying rent and everything else. But all that profit goes back into the LLC, and you can't actually live or stay in the property as the prohibited party, as the IRA beneficiary. So think strictly investment. This is, your IRA is for investment until later in life you're going to take it out for personal use, right? So right now it's just for investment. So that's what we're doing with these funds. And Rory, you can invest in, as long as you keep personal benefit, keep it at arm's length, right? Keep personal benefits separate. In other words, you can't invest if your son has a great idea in a company. You can't use the LLC money to help fund the company. But if your neighbor does, you sure can. You can issue loans to private parties. You can invest in private equity. We've got private wealth groups around the country that have clients that they're generating 20% returns for, even rather conservatively, believe it or not, with private equity. And we do a lot of their clients' IRAs. They're unlocking their IRAs to invest in these private opportunities. Same kind of thing. I mean, you can do just about anything with it. You have to be careful of those prohibited transactions.
Okay. Now, when you said that if I roll over my account, no longer work for the company, I have full access to my money that is now under siege by the company, and I can roll it over, and you said I can roll it over into a bank. Now, do I have to put it into a bank, or what are my options there? Because I want to get away from credit unions, too big to jail banks, too small to jail banks. I want to have nothing to do with them, because once they go digital, there's no turning back, and that's going to come, in my opinion, that's going to come like a thief in the night. And we ain't ever going to see it. It's just going to happen.
I agree with you. The bank, and I treat it the same way I do, let's say, my personal checking account right now. I don't like having one, but I need one. I need one to write an occasional check or do this or do that. So I don't keep much money in there, that's the same essence is what we're using this bank account for the LLC. It's got to have a way to transact business. It's got to have a way to buy that gold.
Okay.
So in other words, the cash that's coming from Merrill Lynch or from your old 401k, it was in stocks or bonds. That's all going to be sold, and it's going to be in cash, and that cash has to go somewhere. So that's the only thing we need that bank account for that cash to go in. And then it typically turns around and goes right back out into whatever investment the client is making.
Gotcha. Okay, so if I'm not allowed to do anything personally with it, I mean, if I go into the bank and I say, I need to withdraw, $2,000 because I'm going to go out and buy, 3 rolls of Eagles
Mm-hmm.
and bring those home. Can I do that?
Sure. Yes. You can, just as if you imagine you're managing a company, and it could, yes, you can handle cash. You can deposit money. You can hold checks, deposit checks. You can handle company assets. That's the whole point here, right? You're going to touch that cash. It's not your cash, it's the company's cash. You're going to touch it for a short period of time, though, to convert it into Silver Eagles in this case. And then you're going to do the same thing with the Silver Eagles. You're not going to spend them or use them, or you might look at how pretty they are or whatever, but you're going to store them on behalf of this company. That's all you're doing.
Okay. So so I can go in and make a withdrawal of cash. So I can go into the bank and say, here's a withdrawal slip for $2,000, and I want to pull that $2,000 out, and I don't have to sign off on anything at that point and say what I'm going to use that money for.
No, you don't. Yeah, that's another great benefit to how this thing works. Once that local bank account is opened in the name of Rory's Investments LLC, and that's where your Merrill Lynch money that was Merrill Lynch, that's where it ends up, and that's sitting in the bank account. Once it's there, it's yours to manage and invest without oversight, without approval. We go through the whole approval process with the custodian to get the LLC approved and purchased and get the money there. So that's a tedious process that we take care of. But otherwise, once it's there, you, the client, call the shots. You call all the shots, and you don't have to fill out a form or get a signature or get an approval or anything. That bank doesn't know. The bank that's holding the checking account for Rory's Investments LLC doesn't know anything about this company. I mean, they're going to ask you 100 questions when you open the account, but we're going to help you with that. Okay. But they don't know that this is, as far as they're concerned, this is just a check. This is a business, an investment. It's an investment company that you're managing. That's all they know. They don't. So yeah, you could take out cash for an investment all day long. In fact, I went to the bank a couple of days ago and pulled out cash out of a company account. For a particular use, for a particular company use. So yeah, you can do that absolutely in this same case. Yep.
Okay. So if I roll over, because I have an account, needs to be rolled over. So if I take that account and I roll it over, I'm going to avoid all the taxes and the penalties, right?
Correct. No? Yep. No, you're not paying any taxes and penalties. That's correct. This is you're keeping, if your money's right now in an IRA, you're just putting it in a different type of IRA.
No, I no longer work for the company.
Okay.
I still have that account.
Yep. So it's still in their 401k. Then you'd basically be rolling it over from their 401k plan into an IRA, an individual retirement account. Functions the exact same way from taxes later in life. You can make tax deferred contributions to it, $5,500 a year or whatever. So yeah, it's if that money, if you can access that money, it's not a current 401k, current employed, and you can roll it out. Yeah, you'd be rolling it over to an individual, to an IRA. Yep.
Okay. So, but if I wanted to go ahead and pay the taxes, then I could do that at this point as well.
Yeah, you could request a distribution. Just cash the thing out straight from the 401k people. They'll write you a check payable to you. They'll withhold taxes if you want, but yes, and you would be subject to that whole amount would be taxable income for the year, and you would have a 10% penalty if you're under 59.5.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all very, very good news right there. Okay, so next step is I've rolled it over, deferred my taxes, deferred the penalties. When I get to be 59.5, what are my options with my investment at that point?
Gotcha. It functions just like a regular IRA. So at 59 and a half, you are eligible to start taking personal distributions from the IRA. You're eligible. You don't have to. They become mandatory at 70 and a half. There's that, 10 or 11 year period from 59 and a half to 70 and a half where you can take distributions if you want, but you don't have to. At 70 and a half, it's required. And at that point, the required minimum distributions start. And each year you'd have to take, a fixed dollar amount out of the IRA account just based on your age and the value, et cetera. So, it's basically, that's when you start distributing the IRA. So you would just start taking assets or taking money out of the account and claiming it, taking it from the company account and claiming it as a personal distribution and putting it over in your personal piggy bank.
Okay. Now, say I go and I buy, like I said, 3 rows of Eagles, and they're $15.50, and I'm paying like $18 with the premium on them. 10 years from now, they're worth $50. How would that work? Would the taxes be based on the $18 that I paid, or would it be based on the $50 that they're currently worth?
Yep, it's going to function again just like an IRA. So if you buy Eagles, $20 and they go up, it doesn't matter. Your cost basis doesn't matter. In other words, the profit in the account doesn't matter. At the end of the day, at the end of the IRA, when you start taking distributions, those are personal income. Those are taxed as personal income for the year that you take it out.
Okay.
So all you're doing, if you buy silver and it goes up, that's kind of the benefit of owning, let's say, physical silver inside your IRA. Another benefit is if it goes up, add a zero. Let's say it goes up to $180 an ounce, which is very reasonable. Your account just went up tenfold in value. Your taxable burden didn't go up. Your piggy bank just got larger for retirement. Is all that happened.
Okay, and that I can wrap my head around that.
Yep. You're just going to pay taxes when you take the money out as income. That's it. It doesn't matter if the account goes up 1,000% or whatever. Yep.
Okay. Well, you and I have a lot to talk about offline. And we've been speaking with Mr. Will Lehr, who is the proprietor of Perpetual Assets. And you can find everything that we've just been discussing at perpetualassets.com. So please get in touch with Will and your partner, Gus.
That's correct. Yep.
And you guys can hook them up.
Yeah.
Take everything to the next level.
We're happy to answer any questions or help in any way we can. There's a lot of craziness going on out there. People have a lot of questions, and especially in this department when it comes to IRAs and 401k. So if we can help, it's what we're here for. If we can help, jailbreak your IRA, move it into an IRA LLC, we'd certainly love to help with that as well. So call or email anytime. And Rory, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate your show and all your hard work, man.
Well, I certainly appreciate everything you guys are doing. And like I said, I want to. When you and I originally spoke, I said that I was going to do this, and I never have. The time has come, so we're gonna make it happen. And I will speak with you here on the show very soon. And you and I are going to just continue this conversation offline from here.
Sounds great. I appreciate it, Rory.
All right. Thank you.